Hey everybody, thanks for joining us. Hope you had a good weekend and everything. And let's go ahead and open it up to Q&A. Anything goes. You can unmute yourself or type in, but anything goes.
And go ahead, Robert, then Ralph.
Hi, Greg.
Hey Robert, how are you?
Doing well, thank you. I think I have on the line one of my clients. Her name is Linda.
Okay.
Linda, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hey Linda.
Hi.
Go ahead, Linda.
I have severe arthritis in my left hip requiring replacement surgery,
Okay.
which is scheduled for June 1st, 2023.
Okay.
It results in a high level of pain doing anything but sitting.
Right.
The pain prevents me from doing normal activities such as yoga, exercise, and just routine walking. My current medications for pain relief are Tramadol, I take 1 in the morning, and Tylenol arthritis daily, and some essential oils that Robert will tell you about.
Okay.
And so on the essential oil side, I started Linda out with galbanum, which adjusted her pain slightly. We eventually brought in juniper, CRC, arthrocare, and fascial release, sustained inhalation. And I think we're doing that twice a day, Linda?
Yes, morning and night.
Okay.
Is there anything we can do to reduce her pain level until after the surgery?
Yeah, like the issue is that it's bone on bone, and so any sort of movement aggravates it and causes inflammation. I mean, that's the thing with either a bone, or excuse me, a hip or a knee where it's bone on bone, is that it's constantly generating inflammatory material. So so the galbanum brought, like, you're just having her inhale the galbanum?
Yeah, at the moment, and I think we can obviously go to a couple drops.
Well, we
internally.
do the galbanum. We put 1 drop 5 times a day on my wrist, and then we put 1 to 2 drops and gulp it in water morning and night.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, you have I mean, you have an issue where you're just trying to buy some time until the surgery. The surgery is going to alleviate most of it. I mean,
Yes.
you'll wake up and you'll feel like there'll be the pain of the surgery, but that pain that you're feeling all the time will be gone.
Oh, nice.
And so we just got to keep the inflammation down. And so walking kind of isn't your friend right now. Like walking, anything like that. Like the best kind of exercise would be something in a pool, something that offsets some of the weight. Anything that's weight bearing is going to be maximum irritation in this particular area. But you still got to be able to move, and you still got to be able to do things. And so if you're shooting for exercise, though, even if you just get like a membership somewhere where you can just use the pool for 3 or 4 months, that's ideal. But anyway, we'll move on from that. So with that, the galbanum, I mean, the other thing that you can always throw in just for like basic pain management is myrrh. Myrrh, like you could go 2-3 drops 2, 3, 4 times a day. I mean, you could increase the dosage of the galbanum to 2 or 3 drops multiple times a day. That is helpful. I would put her on like some sort of like anti-inflammatory, and here you could do black cumin internally. Even if you didn't want to do the essential oil, you could go to the health food store and get black cumin or black seed, and pretty hefty dosage. Like, if you're going to the health food store, probably 3 or 4 capsules daily. If you're doing the essential oil, 2 or 3 drops twice a day.
Okay.
That would be pretty good. One of the other ways that you can augment the pain is that birch complex would not have to be on the site. Like it could still just be, you know, like on the wrist, or like rub a little bit on the back. You know, you could do it like at a roller ball or something and just like kind of rub it several times. I mean, it's not going to completely knock it out, but it will take the edge off some of the pain. And then for the joint itself, you have her using, what is it, Arthrocare, and then CRC.
Let me find my notes here. Arthrocare, CRC, Juniper, CRC, Arthrocare, and fascial release.
Okay, so you know, the Arthrocare, I mean, it is very good for detoxifying the tissue and everything, and I'd probably keep it in the mix. But the part of the issue is like the Juniper is kind of doing it, the Arthrocare is kind of doing it, but that blend joint relief, you're going to keep the blood supply up in that area. I mean, it is bone on bone, so you're not trying to save the cartilage is gone. And so
Yes.
the thing with getting the blood there, you're still trying to keep some of the muscle from contracting quite as bad. And joint relief is about getting blood in and then blood out of the area. You know, because like sometimes it's either not getting enough blood in there, or the blood is stagnant and not moving. And so when I say blood, I'm also talking about lymph. And so
Liniment or ointment?
I tend, like, you could probably do either, but like I tend to go ointment here a little bit, and the rationale is that when you put it in a base of alcohol, it hits the bloodstream and kind of goes throughout the body. Like it'll go deeper, but it will like move around. When you put it in an ointment, it really kind of holds the essential oil to that area and does like a little bit of a slow release as it separates from the fatty oil, you know, the carrier. And so you tend to get more of the essential oil deposited in that particular area, in that joint.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the other thing, like it sounds like you're doing healing on her.
I have not yet,
Yeah.
but we could do that.
Blast that hip socket with green, orange, and red. I mean, just like sometimes if it's super inflamed, you do green, blue, violet. But the more that you keep the circulation up in that particular area, it does minimize the pain somewhat. And you know, I mean, when it gets inflamed like this, and you know, it's causing pain, and it's just, you know, every little activity, you know, even if you have a good day, still like the activities of the week, the more you move, the more it kind of hurts. Part of what happens is that it's generating a bunch of inflammatory material, and that area is inflamed, but then eventually it becomes systemic. And once it becomes systemic, it's like that inflammatory material can end up in other parts of the body, and it doesn't really cause like a condition or something, but it's just like it'll settle like where, I mean, it kind of goes everywhere, but you'll feel it in your weaker spot. So like if you have a bad shoulder, all of a sudden it hurts more. If you have a bad neck, all of a sudden it hurts more. If you have a bad foot, all of a sudden it hurts more. You know? It's just because there's inflammatory material in the blood.
So that acute inflammation becomes general systemic.
It becomes systemic inflammation. Yeah.
Okay.
And inflammation, like sometimes it's not even the inflammation, it's the inflammatory material. And you know, the black cumin will reduce some of that. But you know, this is where you would put in something like a free radical scavenger, you know, and one of your best bets there, especially with this kind of long-term potential, you know, you're having to buy time till June, which is not a long time, but it's still a long time. Like, you know what I mean? It's still 4 or 5 months away. And so if it was really super short term, I'd say let's throw some German chamomile at it and, you know, rotate her through it a couple of times. Here, I would say helichrysum. You could do the black cumin, increase the dosage, and if that works, then that's good. I mean, really, comfort is the biggest thing right here. Like if she's comfortable, then it's good. But if the black cumin still isn't cutting it, I would do some helichrysum and like internal. Like it needs to be like 2 or 3 drops a couple of times a day. Sometimes like if they get really bad, like a really bad flare up, you could actually even switch that out for a little German chamomile or yarrow internally. But you know, you can still do some more complicated things. But the other thing that you could add to it, I mean, turmeric is always like a good thing to throw at this. Ginger is always a good thing. I mean, you can figure a couple of things out just to keep her comfortable. But there's also that thing, those enzymes at the health food store, the Wobazyme. I'd get a small bottle just to, you know, they're a little bit pricey. I mean, not crazy, but they're a little bit pricey. So with that digestive enzyme, you start with 1 in between each meal, but you can go up to, you know, 3 or 4 if you needed to. But like, I would start slow, go up to 1 and then 2. And just for 1, make sure that they're tolerated well, then 2, that it's doing the job. So instead of getting a big bottle, get a small bottle, make sure that it works. That way, if it doesn't, you're not out, you know, twice the amount of money or whatever. Like a small bottle, I think might be like $15 or $18 or something. And basically it will have a similar effect to the ibuprofen. And so, you know, I would keep her on all her meds and just try to increase the potency. I mean, it sounds like she's only taking 1 tramadol a day, and tramadol is not even that strong of a painkiller. And so, like, if she's getting by with that, you might be able to add the Wobazyme and have it take more of the edge off. But basically, you're just trying to keep her comfortable until the surgery happens. And so keep in mind too that like inflammatory material, I mean, that's a lot of lymphatic work. Like if you want to, even after the fact, at some point you just have to go through and do a bunch of lymphatic work and you know, depending on how much of that inflammatory material settles in different parts of the body. One of the things that I always look at, like post-surgery with somebody with a hip replacement, is there starting to be digestive issues? You know, is there starting to be diarrhea? Is there starting to be a little bit of irritable bowel? You know, because the issue with the hip is because it's been bone on bone, it's thrown their gait off. You know, it's thrown off the way that they walk. And part of what happens is that the disc up between L2 and L3, and sometimes between L3 and L4 in the spine, will start to either wear down or wear down a little bit uneven. And so are you having any low back pain, by the way?
No, not at all.
Okay.
And
Did
I'm
they
still able to do some stretches in the morning that I do for my lower back and hip.
Okay, and they've x-rayed your low back?
No, not yet.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, if you're not presenting with pain, you're probably okay, but there has been wear and tear on that. I mean, anytime, a lot of times when people have like a hip issue, they go to the doctor and they're complaining about the low back, and then the doctor x-rays everything and then goes, it's actually your hip.
Uh-huh.
And so you're ahead of the game that your low back is not bothering you.
Uh-huh.
But still, you know, that pain and that achiness You know, lymphatic work helps, like some of the if I shoot you a picture, can you like let's show a picture to Robert for therapy. Give me just a second.
And while you're doing that, if you can, I'll ask a question you can answer when you get back from that. One of the things I've always wondered is, would Lovage Body Tonic be appropriate?
Yeah, but you're already doing the Arthrocare, so it's got a ton of Lovage in it, so I don't know that you need to
We're
do
just, okay, we're doing that simply inhaled at the moment.
I think you need to be put on topically for the hip, like the
Okay.
inhaling isn't going to be strong enough.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we wanted, what you're saying then, going back to the 4 oils we're using right now, and take out juniper, put in joint relief, applied to the joint,
Yeah.
do CRC and apply it to the joint,
Yeah.
Arthrocare applied to the joint, fascial release applied to the joint.
Yeah. I mean, the fascial release is you're really just trying to maintain like or deal with whatever kind of spasms or tension that might be there. And so the joint relief might do enough where you might not need to use it as much. I mean, I'd still kind of put it in the mix, but give me just a sec here.
Yeah, no worries.
I'm shooting you a picture. I'm a boy. I can only do one thing at a time. Okay, here we go. Okay, so when she's able to post this picture, we'll go a little bit farther.
Give me seconds.
Okay, so this like little picture you see, it shows like a pain pattern that runs down the leg, and this is a muscle called the tensor fascia lata or latte. Is it lata or latte? Like it makes me start wanting to say latte like I'm at Starbucks, but basically this like kind of turns into the IT band, which is a big tendon that runs down the side of the leg. And so you see the pain pattern there, but one of the things that it doesn't illustrate is this same muscle is actually part of what causes some of the deep hip socket pain. And so on that area where you see that little X, you're going to want to put something that's antispasmodic there, like marjoram, basil, petitgrain, pepper, something that's antispasmodic, because it's not just that the socket, because anytime you have like bones that are rubbing together, like, yes, that is causing inflammation and everything, but the pain isn't coming from the bones. The pain is coming from the soft tissue, right? Like bones never generate pain. It's the tissue around it. So you're wanting to figure out like, where is that pain coming that's deep in the socket pain? And this is actually a big piece of it right here. And it's like right on the outside of your hip, but like all the way forward, kind of like if you follow like the top of the hip bone and you get all the way to the side and just drop down a little bit and you start poking around, it'll be real tender. That's the spot usually. And so if you're not sure, just cover that area. But, putting antispasmodics there will help to reduce the tension and then potentially reduce the pain that's deep in the socket. Manipulation wise, what we used to do is like we'd put the leg up on a ball and then rotate the leg like towards the other side of the body, so you're kind of stretching out the hip a little bit, and then, use your thumb or something to like push on that spot, and then you would hold it for like 5 to 10 minutes. Like you would hold it for quite a while, and it would buy them like maybe a week of like reducing the pain, and then you'd have to do it again.
Okay.
Doing it with the essential oils, you can apply it daily, and it's not quite the same as doing the manipulation, but done daily, it will take the edge off. And the thing here is you're trying to stack as many things as possible, trying to take the edge off so that life is comfortable until it's surgery time.
Mhm.
Back
Yes.
in the old days when it was bone on bone, it was just like, okay, it's time to just sit for the rest of your life. But now this surgery, they have it down. They are so good at it that, like I said, as soon as you wake up, usually it's like there's the pain of the surgery, but that pain that's been there for so long is gone, and it's so a lot of the same things we're talking about. Helichrysum would be put on the incision site post-surgery after the incision closes, just to reduce scar tissue. Joint relief would still be put on the hip socket, post-surgery, just to keep increasing blood flow, help the muscles respond. And usually you can hit the movement targets, like you try to walk so much within, the first week, first 2 weeks, whatever. Usually you speed that up by about 30% by constantly treating it with the helichrysum, the joint relief, and I still actually like to throw the blue herein on that area topically, just because it's so anti-inflammatory topically. Actually, it might not be a bad thing for you to even throw on now, the blue healer blend.
Okay.
I know I'm throwing a lot at you, but you're going to have to find
Find what does the best.
yeah, and it's not going to be one single thing. It's going to be like a series of things. There's
Okay.
that bone on bone thing, causes a lot of havoc, and so you're just trying to undo it, and everybody's a little bit different. That she's already doing better, like with not having low back issue. You could keep it pretty localized on that hip and be good with it. But I probably post-surgery, I'd even look at the low back and just treat it, even though there's not pain there. Because the thing with an arthritic condition is spasms. Like if an area is pinched off, it can cause spasms that eventually turns into arthritis and breaks down the cartilage, which would be the discs in the low back. And even though there might not be pain present, because that hip's been compromised, you're going to want to reduce spasms in that lumbar area post-surgery, so that it doesn't, in 5 or 10 years, cause another issue in the low back because of all the spasms in the low back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I can recap to make sure I got this right. Take the 4 oils that we're using now daily and apply them to the area instead of just sustained inhalation.
Yeah.
Take out juniper, put in joint relief.
Yeah.
Pranic healing wise, the hip green, orange, and red.
As long as if it's super inflamed, do green, blue, violet. But if it's not, then the more you can increase blood to the area, the better that area does.
Okay.
It's not going to slow down anything going on with the hip, but it reduces the pain somewhat.
Okay. Helichrysum, 2 to 3 drops twice a day internally.
Yeah.
Do we occasionally putting in German chamomile or yarrow for a day or two?
Yeah. You could go for a couple of weeks, like with those things, but also don't want to just be like piling on a bunch of things, but here you are having to kind of shotgun a little bit, just because you're keeping down pain, you're keeping down inflammation, you're keeping the lymphatic system moving, you're keeping blood in the area. You have like a bunch of things you're trying to manage, and
Right.
it's just for a little while, but
Right.
yeah.
Okay, so then also Wobenzyme, 1 tablet between meals.
Yeah, so you're doing that 2 or 3 times a day.
Mhm.
And a lot of times, like the combination of oils and the Wobenzyme will, I mean, there can be a point where it reaches a tipping point where there's just starts to be very little you can do, right?
Mhm.
But if she's already not having low back pain, you probably can scale the pain back somewhat. And
Right.
and so the Wobenzyme can be increased, but if
Start
it's not
small and work
bringing, if it's not bringing tons of relief, then I
Okay.
just drop it.
And then you said also one of the antispasmodics, marjoram, basil, pepper daily on the X on the hip and that muscle coming down the side.
Yeah,
Uh,
just whatever you have. Like,
Okay.
marjoram. I mean, even effervescent's antispasmodic, it's a little more expensive than marjoram. And like marjoram is usually what I use, but use whatever.
we'll take care of that. If she wants to continue any form of exercise, move it to a pool, not any other form.
I would reduce, like, the rule of thumb, like going into surgery, is like exercise it so that it's not weak. But the issue that you have here is you're moving a weight bearing joint, and the movement itself is causing friction because there's no cartilage there, so you're bone on bone, and then it's weight bearing on top of that, so it's always going to generate inflammatory material and cause pain. Like, it's just like, if you can do the movement where you're in a pool, you don't have the gravity pulling that down, and you're not having to hold the body up. You can kind of float, and you can move the body around and the joints around, and it's not as irritating. It's still going to irritate, but it's not as bad. It's nowhere near as bad.
Okay.
And so and like sometimes where if it just gets bad enough, you just start trying to minimize movement.
Right. And
Just until the time. But we had an employee here like several years ago, and he had the thing, and same thing, bone on bone, and I told him, like, you probably like reduce the amount that you're walking, and he did the opposite. Like, he decided like he was going to exercise it a bunch, and he started, instead of driving his car places, he would start walking places. And in a short amount of time, he went downhill. He was in a ton of pain. He was getting sick all the time. And it's just because like it just generates a bunch of inflammatory material, and there's nothing that you can do to stop it. And so that idea of exercising before, I agree with it, except for like when it's a hip or knee, bone on bone. I mean, you still do things to be active and everything, but I would minimize anything excessive. And if you can, try to do things like where it's not weight bearing, or I think I had one patient one time where she still wanted to exercise. So what she would do is, like, she would lay in her bed and put her legs up in the air and do like the bicycle thing. And, she could move stuff around that way, but it wasn't weight bearing. And I was like, whatever works for you, like, but the good thing is it's temporary because the surgery is going to happen. So you're really just trying to minimize the pain until the time comes.
Right.
Correct.
Okay, so then also
The surgery is going to change your life, by the way. It's going to be life changing. Like, it's usually immediate. You wake up and like,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
So then the other ones you said, Greg, Myrrh, 2 to 3 drops internally up to 4 times.
You could
a
do
day.
myrrh or galbanum, like
myrrh or galbanum.
yeah.
Okay.
So, and
So-
can I give you like one more piece of advice? This is like
Sure.
in that time, like when you get the surgery. So go around the house, move everything up off the like low, move everything high.
Oh,
You know, because are they going through the front or they're going through the side for your hip?
side, I believe, or the
So
back. Do they ever go through the?
Yeah, like more like back-ish, but
Yeah, I think
but-
that's
or
posterior. Yeah.
yeah. So you're probably not going to be able to bend very much for a little
Oh,
bit.
Yeah.
The front, you can usually bend more right after the surgery, and the one where it's like in the side or a little bit posterior, like if I remember right, you can't bend for like I don't know, like a week or something. Like you have to be really careful. I mean, you blend a little bit, so move everything up high,
Okay.
and then like at the hardware store, like if you go to Lowe's, you know how there's those little aprons that they have for like work, doing a construction job where
yeah.
you stick like nails and things
Oh,
in.
yeah, yeah.
You buy one of those, you put your phone, your tablet, like
Oh, okay.
all the little things that you would need in the day that you would get up and grab. That is like your new best friend. Like when
Okay.
surgery happens, like you're just every day you're going to wear that. So you don't have to get up and move around. And then also, those extender handles that have like the little
Grabbers.
pins in them.
Yeah.
Yep.
I have
Scatter
one
them,
of those.
scatter them through the house. Scatter them through the house. Like just, it's going to be a rough couple of weeks, but like soon as you get through that, life is good. But make those couple of weeks as comfortable as possible.
Thank you.
And then black cumin, 2 to 3 drops internally, twice a day.
Correct.
Birch complex, you said applied anywhere?
Yeah, just get it on the skin,
Okay.
because it's going to hit the pain threshold and potentially help reduce that.
Okay.
It's also a lymphatic stimulant, so it should help offset
Mm.
some of the lymphatic like blockages.
Okay, and then the last one was blue healer topical, I assume at the area, at the hip.
Yeah, you would cover the whole hip, front, sides, back.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I mean, even if you only do half of what we say, it should bring some relief. But those are the things that I would shotgun at a situation like this.
Okay, sounds good. Linda and I will go over it and we'll keep you posted as time goes
Okay.
on.
Good luck, Linda.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much for all your
Yes,
help.
yourself.
Bye-bye.
And then go ahead, Ralph, then Chris.
Hey, Greg,
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing good. Hey, great class this weekend
Oh, good. I'm glad you enjoyed.
at your normal 90 miles an hour. So I got some questions to catch up on my notes here.
Yeah. I hear you.
I had to chuckle. That gal said, well, I just came for a little light shower. Hey, lady, you
Yeah,
came to
yeah.
the wrong place. Okay, anise.
Yes.
We mentioned anise a couple of times, but I didn't get a bunch of stuff other than it's good for digestive balancing.
Well, digestive and like the balancing comes in is that it balances out the autonomic nervous system. So it's
Okay.
balancing out the fight flight with the rest and repair, where a lot of times when we're having issues with the digestive system,
Yeah.
it can actually be the extreme of one or the other. It's not always just fight flight. A lot of nausea and vomiting. There can be disruptions in the parasympathetic part or the rest and repair part. And so the anise is good for digestion. It's good for like, what we'd call like a stress plagued digestive tract.
Mhm.
And then it's also very balancing to the nervous system, the involuntary part. So if there is some sort of dysfunction there where too much fight flight, too much rest and repair, whatever, it helps to kind of balance that out. I
Okay.
mean, it's so good at that it's actually like a remedy, like a hangover is a disruption in the autonomic nervous system. the nervous system is out of balance for a little bit, and like a
Yeah.
drop or two, like if you have like somebody that you know that like has a hangover, you give them a
Yeah.
couple drop or two, boom, it takes the hangover away almost immediately. It's
Okay.
just because of what it does to the nervous system. You know, it's quite the tonic for that. And so yeah, it's in the ANS support, it's in like the digestive aid, you know, it's in several of the digestive type blends.
Okay.
Even that old Four Seeds blend that's really like a digestive.
Mhm.
You know, it's a piece of that. And so like anything digestive related, and like just to give you an idea, like sometimes, you know, when I still lived in New Mexico and had alpacas, that I would do stuff at the ranch, like when the animals would get sick or whatever. And sometimes, you know, the animal would be born, and you know, an alpaca needs to be, you know, it's a prey animal, so like it needs to be up on its feet like within 5 or 10 minutes walking around. Like it is like you either get up or you don't survive.
Yeah.
And so sometimes what would happen is they'd get born, but you could see that their equilibrium was off. Like they'd start to stand and they looked like drunk.
Mhm.
And they would get up on their legs and then they'd fall off, like fall to the side, and they couldn't get it up on their feet. And I would put like 2 or 3 drops of anise and like a little thing of water and then just shoot it down their throat. And in 2 minutes they were fine. Like they could just walk around. And so even like weird like equilibrium kind of issues, it doesn't always work, but it does help. Yeah, like anything neurological, you could always kind of go to like anise for something.
Okay. And Palmarosa. Good for gut bacteria. What else?
As far as the gut, it's mostly that, and I want to say diarrhea. Let me look that up, because that one I don't have in my brain like I
Okay.
would. Infections, digestive atonia, anorexia, dysentery. Yeah, so I mean, good for the mucous membranes. I mean, that still kind of goes back to good digestive flora, like, you know, the good friendly bacteria. And also like when there's poor muscle tone or muscle movement in the digestive tract. And then it's used to treat like stress related conditions. So stress could be in the gut, it could be anywhere in the body. You know, it just kind of takes the edge off of the stress and tension in the body. It's one of the things that you could throw out there for like when you get exhausted, but it's like more associated with the nervous system. Like you know, in the old days we would call that asthenia, but it just means depleted nerves. But now
Yeah.
chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia kind of fall in that realm. And so you could use it to fortify the nerves. I mean, it's not something that works fast, but it would work
Yeah.
over a period of time. And then like skin related issues.
Okay.
You know, in the old days, they used to call Palmarosa poor man's rose, because it has like a rosy scent, and people used to sell it as rose rather than real rose. And you know, because it doesn't cost as much. And so, you know, like anytime with something like that, it's activating to the heart, it's activating to the upper faculties, it's calming and soothing. But other than that, yeah.
Okay. Terebinth.
Mhm.
Dries mucus, good for cold, good for dealing with a cold. What else?
Yeah, I think that's when we even put in the daily dose not too long ago. So we have that whole list. Let me look that up real quick. Daily dose.
Let's see who can get it faster, you or Robert.
Oh, Robert's gonna be faster. TerraBand. Yeah, so again, are we just sticking with digestive? Um,
Well, I'm trying to put together my Cliff's notes, so then you can give me.
Oh,
the
got
table.
you. Yeah. How about I'll just send this to you.
Okay,
I'll send it to Samantha and she'll post it again.
okay.
And this is also in the blog.
There's a blog entry for Palmarosa.
For
Terabint.
And
Terabint.
Pomerosa both.
Is it really? I didn't know that. Marosa.
Yeah, the only reason I could remember the Pomerosa because Robert posted the whole thing that's in there.
So there's the big list for
I'll
yeah.
put it in here for you guys.
Okay. Good, thanks.
Yeah, of course. Good question.
Shazandra corrects water use in the body,
Mhm.
like, overuse or underuse.
It's like it's not like a Western term. It's more of a Chinese medicine idea, but
Yeah.
it transmutes the water. Like it helps the body utilize the water more.
Okay.
And so basically, like just because you're drinking water doesn't mean that your body's always using it all. Sometimes it dumps it in tissue or it just passes through.
Mhm.
So the Shazandra helps your body utilize the water more. And the manifestation of that is that it hydrates the fascia in the body, but it's very moistening to the mucous membranes. So the mucous membranes, wherever they're at,
Okay.
the eyes, the respiratory tract, the digestive tract, the urinary tract, the whole bit.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay. So if I already have clove, immune support rollerball, respiratory protection rollerball, is there any reason to add savory to the mix?
Do you have cinnamon?
Yes.
You're solid.
Okay.
I mean, savory and cinnamon are very similar. Savory
Mhm.
smells a little bit more like oregano, but a lot of times savory and cinnamon get mixed together because they're very close in like properties.
Okay.
And so like I use them kind of interchangeably.
Okay. All right. You use the term anti-inflammatory every so
Mhm.
often.
Mhm.
So when you say anti-inflammatory, my head goes to one of the chamomiles, yarrow, a particular sage or any of the sages?
Sages are all of the sages, and when I say that, I do not mean clary sage.
Okay.
So any of the normal sages would be anti-inflammatory as well.
Okay.
German chamomile is probably your big hitter when it comes to anti-inflammatory effects on the body,
Mhm.
but because of its intensity and what it does to the immune system, you don't want to use it for more than like say 3 weeks at a time without taking a little bit of a break. And
Okay.
so black cumin is always a good long-term choice. But
Okay.
things even like turmeric and ginger, like all of those could be very good long-term
Mhm.
usages. But sage is right up there as far as anti-inflammatory. And I
Okay.
think I've shared with you guys that like sometimes when people are in a crisis with chronic fatigue or fibromyalgia, is I
Mhm.
make a really strong body tonic with just sage and have them shake it up and just rub it all over their body and lay down, and it usually pulls them right out of the crisis.
Okay.
And, you know, it's strengthening and fortifying to the body. It's fortifying to the adrenals, but
Mhm.
it's also that it's super anti-inflammatory, and it just knocks everything out. It calms down the sensory nerves. And I think that's the thing to keep in mind sometimes is like sage topically is anti-inflammatory, but it's also what you would use to calm down sensory nerves.
Okay.
And anytime there's a lot of inflammation or anytime where the lymph is backed up,
Yeah.
it makes the sensory nerves fire faster, like 5, 10, even 20 times faster than normal. And so you're not just dealing with inflammation, you're dealing with a hyperactive, like sensory nervous system.
Bad
And so,
combination.
yeah, so vetiver will calm it down, and sage, like those are the two go-to things
Okay.
for, and it's not necessarily like pain relief, it's just calming the nerves down. And it takes the person out of crisis. And so sage is invaluable for that. I mean, it's
Okay.
just it works so good.
Good. Thanks.
Yeah.
Three wise men.
So Three Wise Men does several different things. You know, it's a combination of frankincense and myrrh.
Mhm.
You know, we get fancy with a couple of myrrhs and a bunch of different frankincenses, but you know, if we just look at it from a point of view of frankincense and myrrh,
Yeah.
so the big ones are that it jumpstarts all the endocrine system, the endocrine glands, especially the hypothalamus.
Mhm.
Um, Second, it is balancing to the autonomic part of the nervous system.
Mhm.
Um, when it's really out of balance, I would say it's good, but it's better when it's like if it's really extremely out of balance, I would do other things and then do maintenance with Three Wise Men.
Okay.
But
But Three Wise Men itself is
same
not
idea. Yeah.
not specifically anti-inflammatory.
No, it's anti-inflammatory. Yeah,
Okay.
It's definitely anti-inflammatory,
Mhm.
and myrrh always has an impact on the pain response because of how much it hits the vital centers, you know, the
Okay.
limbic system, and it also stimulates cerebral spinal fluid circulation, like, you know, improves the function there, which is always good for dealing with anything neurological. You know, it's basically affecting the whole nervous system.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I would say Three Wise Men actually could be used for depression and could even be used for mood related issues. You know,
Mhm.
again, it's not going to be like a quick one, but I noticed that like when I take it on a regular basis, which I do often, I'm like a little bit more like lighthearted or whatever you want to call it. You know,
Yeah.
like I'll laugh and joke a little bit more than I normally do, or and it doesn't make me giddy, but it's like, you know, you just, even though you might not be feeling good in your body, you're still like, yeah, but internally I feel good, or, you know,
Mhm.
whatever, my emotions or my mind.
Okay.
And, you know, because in endocrine function, our mind and our thoughts, a big portion of that is endocrine functioning through the brain or the nervous system.
Right.
And so, like, anytime you improve endocrine function, you are improving your mental faculties.
Okay.
And so, like, it's a lot of bang for what it does. Like, it hits a lot of different things, and you know, just got to take it internal.
Yep.
No,
Okay.
topically it does, you know, it's anti-inflammatory and it can be used for chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia and everything. I always find that it works better for a lot of things more internally than topical, but I would
Yeah.
use it still topically for anti-inflammatory impact.
Okay. Okay, and does helichrysum have any anti-inflammatory properties?
Yeah, it's very anti-inflammatory. It's antispasmodic, it's anti-mucus, especially in the digestive and urinary tracts, but it's very, very anti-inflammatory, pain reliever, lymphatic stimulant, reduces like blood clots, things like that. That's why it's so good for bruising and things like
Mhm.
that. So the thing that's nice about helichrysum is it works for a lot of different kinds of pain.
Yeah.
Where some things work very specifically for a certain kind of pain,
Mm-hmm.
helichrysum hits it all.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think that's all I got for right now. Good.
Good.
Okay,
I'm
excellent.
glad you enjoyed the weekend.
Thank you. Yes, had a great one, and I'm looking for, and the one in the middle of February, the morning shot you're doing, Sunday morning, from like 10 until 3 or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to be the respiratory.
The what?
Respiratory.
I'm not sure what we're going to do in that one. We might do respiratory. We might do. I'm not sure yet. Like the
Okay.
respiratory one, I might want to do through a whole weekend.
Yeah.
And
All right.
so, yeah, it's Super Bowl weekend here in the US. And
Yeah.
so, I had scheduled a class to be in Austin that weekend, and then I realized I messed up. So I scooted that back a week, and we rearranged it so that we're just doing steady groups all weekend for Astara and for Plan Prana, and then we'll stop a little bit before the Super Bowl. So
Okay.
yeah,
All right. Thanks, Greg.
you're so welcome.
And just a few follow-up questions from his Annis internally.
Yeah.
And make sure I get all of the questions here. There was just another. Can you talk a little how you would make that body tonic, that sage body tonic?
Like in about 8 ounces of, like, you could use alcohol. A lot of times I use alcohol with a bit of witch hazel, like, maybe 50-50. I would put that in there, and then, like, just to keep it simple, I mean, I augment it with other things, but I would put in about 4 mils of sage. So that would be about 100 to 120 drops. Those little bottles, like you have a little essential oil bottle.
I sure do.
Oh no, like you have the regular, like a 5 mil. So this is 5 mils. So you would stick in, 4 mils is almost this entire thing. So you'd almost dump the whole thing in there.
Greg,
Yes.
I was asking the question about the body tonic there. Thank you. Was that 8 ounces of alcohol, 8 ounces of witch hazel? Or...
No, like combination. So,
okay, so 4 and 4.
like if you just do it all with vodka, then you could use rubbing alcohol, but like that can be a little bit drying to the skin and irritating. So I tend to use vodka, but I do about 4 ounces alcohol, 4 ounces witch hazel, and mix it together. You don't have to do it that way, but that's just the way that I tend to do it. But even if you did all witch hazel or all alcohol, you'd still be fine.
Terrific. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
And then go ahead, Chris, then Sahaja.
Hey, Chris.
Oh, hey, Greg. Thanks, Sam.
Hey.
Hello. I have a couple questions, actually, Greg. One is for my client. I'm trying to support her. She's gone through a lot, a messy divorce recently. And then on her, I don't want to be too specific, but she basically got into a DUI situation. So she's awaiting a court hearing where her lawyer will be representing her. So I'm wondering how, with oils and with pH, how I can support her, because the monkey mind is just going pain.
Yeah, yeah. How far away is the court hearing?
Maybe 2 weeks away.
2 weeks. Okay. I'd probably do one of a couple of things. I mean, like, I'll give you options. Like like least amount of being involved to like, doing something a little bit more involved. And so one of the things that you could do is just even if she was carrying around Tarragon,
Okay.
the
She just has
Tarragon,
that.
yeah, inhaling it all the time, a few drops of water multiple times a day,
Okay.
all of that would help. The other one that I might throw in there would be mugwort or artemisia, and just because it helps you to like be less fixated, and in this situation there's not a lot that you can do. She's got a lawyer, everything's in place, so the thing is just try not to get too beat up getting to the court date, you know what I mean, with all the what ifs in your head and all that. And so those parts are already in motion, and so you could take it a step further and not just have her inhale it, but she could put it on the joints of her arms and legs. That would minimize like the automatic thinking, automatic behavior, because like with something like this, for anybody, there's going to be a higher potential for just like being reactive, like not really thinking it out. And I mean, granted, it kind of goes for anybody in this situation. And so you could do that. And if that one didn't work, I would do a combination of two things. You could switch from the mugwort and start putting vetiver on the arms and legs, and even have them inhale with the vetiver along the arms and legs. That can be helpful. But you know how we do that pattern where it's like front heart, back heart, forehead, back head, and then back head, forehead, back heart, front heart. You're kind of going one direction and then you just follow it right back out, right? Have her do that, but with lemongrass.
Lemongrass, got it.
Yeah. That's actually what I was kicking around, even potentially doing tonight, was for the like the protocol. And it's just because like doing that is so balancing to the involuntary part of your nervous system, and makes it harder for the person just to quickly go into fight flight just by being triggered, and so granted, it's going to be a stressful couple of weeks, but if you can just keep the edge down, she won't beat herself up too bad getting to that point. pH wise, blue her forehead, her solar plexus, front and back, our main men, the perineum, soles of the feet, and the jaws.
Sorry, press the wrong button. I don't think maybe she doesn't have lemongrass. What's a good alternative if she doesn't? I'm not sure that she has it.
Let's see, a cubeba, tarragon, which it sounded like she had, tarragon, anise.
Oh, anise. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Greg. And can I ask you, when you looked into my situation last week, when I couldn't concentrate, well, do you remember what you found? And I've been doing
the thing where you were jittery after the class?
Yeah, I was
Your
doing.
main man was just super overactivated.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I started doing the 11 vital centers, and that started, after you We
Right,
looked
right.
at me, and that's also helping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, anytime you calm down the vital centers or purify the centers, that's always good. But it's just the main men was super overactivated, which would make you jittery.
I see. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
And remember, like the main men sometimes overactivates either, it's like stress and things like that, but also when there's a lot of spiritual energy coming in,
Right.
it's part of like what eventually could turn into like a Kundalini syndrome if it went on long enough.
Right.
But it also is just tied to like when situations are dematerializing. Part of how that's happening is your main man overactivates for a little bit. So like if you're like dealing with something where something's shifting or changing, or it needs to be rearranged to be put in like better order, part of how your energy body does that is with the Ming Men. And so my guess is things are shifting around you, and it was probably just because of that.
Okay, so it was just a little
It
overwhelmed.
it didn't look like there's anything bad or anything. Like it didn't look like you were getting Kundalini syndrome. It's just like sometimes when it gets really overactivated, it can make you a little jittery or a little shaky.
Right.
And yeah, that's all it was.
Yeah. And I couldn't add anything up, It
Yeah.
was hard to concentrate.
Yeah, it's hard to concentrate, and I don't even think I inhibited it. I just cleaned it.
Cleaned it.
Yeah, that's all I did. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Well,
You're
I
so
fell
welcome.
asleep. Thank you again.
You're so welcome.
And go ahead, Sahaja and Denise.
Hey, Sajananda.
Hi there.
Hey.
I just want to report that my dizziness is gone. And since last week, when you gave me a little bit more to do,
Okay.
it went away like a couple of days after. I mean, I'm sort of knock on wood, but I just, it's a success.
Oh,
I'm
good.
having a success story. So, and I'm still sniffing the oils and
Yeah, I would still treat it for like probably another good week or so. Just,
Yeah.
I mean, it was a stubborn case, and
Yeah.
so that it didn't go away kind of quickly with the initial treatment. I would still just treat it for a little while until just you really feel like your feet are under you.
yeah, and that's exactly what's happening. I'm just starting to feel normal
Yeah.
again. And related to that, I'm sniffing away on this Trigger Point blend, and I just wanted to know what's in it because I'm smelling a lot of anise, and I'm just wondering if I'm making that up, but it just keeps
Well,
hitting me.
Let's see. Trigger Point. Okay, so it's what smells like anise to you is sweet basil.
Oh,
It's not the normal basil. Sweet basil and anise smell almost identical, by the way.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
But it's ginger, lots of helichrysum, Idaho tansy, pink pepper, kava, sweet
Oh.
basil, and petitgrain.
Okay, great. I was just like, this must be anise, but it's not. It's sweet.
Yeah, it's sweet basil. I mean, like if you put both like a bottle of sweet basil in front of me and anise, I couldn't tell you which one's which.
Do they have the same properties?
They're similar, but different as well. There's some slightly different chemistry to each one of them, but they're both good for digestion. They're both antispasmodic, good for the nervous system. Yeah, but the sweet basil tends to be a bit more antispasmodic than the anise does, but
Okay.
still both pretty good.
Great. Okay, great. I have one more question.
Sure,
And
fire away.
this is just a small reference to the Solomon seal caps that you recommended I take for osteoporosis.
Mhm.
And and then you told me that, you said it, and then you said, don't take the tincture, take the caps. And I was curious why no tincture and that you would recommend the caps.
The reason why there's a couple companies, there's not very many people who are making Solomon's Hill, but there's a couple companies that do make it, and the tincture is just not very strong.
Oh, okay.
And so it's not that anything bad or it's not as good therapeutic. You just have to up the dosage quite a bit.
Mhm.
They're just I can't even remember the name of the company. I want to say it's like a Hawaiian company or something. But you know, they do a bunch of like the old school herbs. They just the strength of the extraction.
Mhm.
Find it a little to be desired there. You know what I mean? And so yeah, like and some things too, the issue is like you see this with lobelia, is like there's like homeopathic versions of lobelia out that are liquid, and it doesn't quite have the same impact. So you know, you want like kind of the herb. So if you ended up getting the tincture, just like maybe whatever the dosage is that you're doing, probably double it.
Just double the dose.
Yeah,
Okay.
probably just double it.
Because what happened was I did buy the tincture because I couldn't
Yeah.
find the caps online.
Yeah.
And so I'll just double the dose of what
And
I'm
if you notice, like the company that I'm thinking of that is probably like a 4-ounce bottle.
I don't even
Yeah.
know what I got,
Is
but
it like a bigger bottle, like about like this size?
I think it's a smaller bottle, like a
Oh.
2 ounces.
2 ounce?
Something.
Yeah. It's
I'm
like it's
looking-
more volume, but it's about the same amount of herbs, so you just increase the dosage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and when I'm finished with that, if it makes more sense to get the capsules, I'll get those instead.
Yeah.
Okay, great. That was just been in my mind for a bit. Thanks so much.
You're so welcome. Glad you're doing better.
Thank you. Me too. Okay.
And then go ahead, Denise, then Sandra.
Hey, Denise.
Hello.
Hey,
Thank you
how are you?
again. Oh, gosh, I really liked our call this weekend. It
Oh,
was
good.
wonderful.
Yeah,
Um,
good.
In fact, I wanted to ask you a question about, you said turmeric, so it's not in an oil, but you said it also enhances like certain things, like for pain.
Yeah, turmeric. No, there's actually a CO2 of turmeric. So in fact, I think I get turmeric from several sources, and then blend it together.
So would I ask you to blend it like in?
No, like you can get just the regular turmeric on the site. I kind of just mix it together. I have a steam distilled and I have a CO2, and I just mix them. And so turmeric is very good anti-inflammatory. It's good for the brain. It's good for like when tissue is like lost some integrity a little bit, like which is usually inflammatory. So anything of that nature, arthritis, you know, inflammation, a bad back, a bad hip, turmeric can always be helpful. It's always also good for the immune system, and it's one of the things that you can use to treat a sore throat, which means that it would impact the lymph nodes and things like that. So turmeric would then potentially be something that could support lymphatic function throughout the body, and so yeah. I mean essential oil is not even very expensive. Like
Really?
it's no, it's like can we look it up real quick? It's like maybe $15 or $20 for like a good sized bottle, I think.
Oh, I'll have to get
I
some.
think it's like a 10 ml bottle.
'Cause
We're
I
looking
told-
it up real quick, just to let you know.
Oh, I would love to know.
5 ml bottles, $18.
Yeah, there you go. So 5 ml bottle. Yeah. So I mean, that would be the equivalent of several bottles for like from the health food store of just like the capsules. You know, the like a couple of drops would be a very big dosage from taking the herb.
Thank you. Okay, now how about like if I'm on the fence between myrrh and the 3 wise men? You may have said that
What do you want to use it for?
I just was so sore last night and through my shoulders and neck, and it just not much was relieving it. But I'd had a headache earlier, and I did something really interesting. I was so sore with that headache and kind of that left eye thing that I've got going on with that vitreous detachment. So I just started inhaling the marjoram, and it just totally let the headache go.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
didn't care after a while at all about the eye.
yeah, yeah.
But I
Perfect.
think I probably should have drank some water or something, but instead it's probably settled in my neck now that I think about it, and woke me up midnight, So what can I do for like a body aches like that,
Like, so your whole body's aching or just up in that area?
mostly my neck and shoulders. Yeah. Neck and like it just shifted down a bit, whatever was in the head. But it wasn't there this morning, but I did finally have to take some Tylenol for it. Like, about 4 in the morning, I had to take some Tylenol.
And you have myrrh and three wise men, or you don't, and you're thinking about?
Yes, I don't have either. And I'm thinking about that and the turmeric. So,
Okay. I would probably do myrrh. Like I like the idea of myrrh for that for you. And I would probably take like 5 drops a couple of times a day.
oh, I love it. Okay, 5.
Yeah, like myrrh hits the opioid receptors in the brain and impacts pain a little bit differently than everything else, and it's relaxing and soothing to pain syndromes. I mean, usually my first go-to thing is galbanum, but then if galbanum is just not quite meeting the mark, I always like play with the dosage, and then if that's not working, then I go to like the myrrh and things like that. It's just super soothing. Like this is a little bit of a reference that like when Christ is on the cross, they would give him like a tea or a tincture, which was usually vinegar based, of myrrh. And the reason being, it's like calming and soothing and reduces pain. But this is how diabolical that was. They did it so that they would reduce the pain so that they would stay awake longer for the crucifixion. Like they were wanting him to stay awake. And so because like intense pain will make a person pass out, so they would give them myrrh to offset the pain so that they could stay awake for the process. Like that's how well myrrh works. That's how diabolical they were when they were putting him on the cross. But like, you can see like it works that well.
Wow. Well, then I'll definitely get those 2, the turmeric and that. And then what was exactly in the joint relief, or do you want me just to look it up online? Because I
No, I
can't.
don't mind. Joint relief is.
She might have it. She does. I think I have it.
Yeah, it's rosemary, cedar, terebinth, black pepper, frankincense, birch, thyme, jade, petitgrain, and kunzia.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Greg. I appreciate
You're
it.
so welcome.
Right. And then go ahead, Sandra, then Sabine.
Hey, Sandra.
Hi, Greg. Great class last weekend. My
Oh,
only
good.
problem was I needed to have shorthand. After the class, I ordered 4 Seeds blend, and then I thought, now, why did I order that? As I remember it, it's used as a digestive? So if
Correct.
someone's having trouble, maybe they don't have enough stomach acid or,
Right. So it would stimulate digestion, stimulate like proper like gastric function. And like anytime you use the term like gastric, is it's usually like more the higher part of the digestive tract, like the stomach itself, and slightly like after that as it starts the journey starts, or the food starts its journey, I should say. And so you would use it like just as a tonic throughout the day. You could use it after a meal to help digest that. If there is a potential for like gas or a buildup of gas, it does help reduce that. Like think of it as like a good way to like tone the digestive tract. You could treat some things with it. There was one woman that I even would treat her menstrual cramps with it, and it doesn't work always that way, but it has like a bit of an antispasmodic effect, and so it kind of takes some of the tension out of the digestive tract. But I don't know that I'd use it for like really severe cramping, but I'd use it for like toning. Like, it's one of those things that's very toning for the overall digestive system.
so you think it might stimulate different enzymes that
Mhm.
you use for
Yeah.
digestion? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And would this work well in a capsule?
Yeah, you could put it in a capsule with a little oil, like olive oil or something, or you could just put a few drops in water and drink it. Yeah,
Okay.
either way.
Because you had said something about when you put it in a capsule, it went down to the lower GI.
It gets down farther. Yeah, but it still would work. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Glad you enjoyed the weekend.
Oh, yeah. So much information.
Yeah.
Now all I have to do is absorb it.
Yeah.
Hi, Greg. This is Sabine.
Hey, Sabine, how are you?
Hey, good, good. So I have a friend who has a very tricky situation, it appears. She's in Germany. And a few years ago, she had a tumor removed, brain tumor.
Okay.
And after the second COVID vaccination, all kinds of things started to go the wrong way. It started with the fact that she has these energy drops when she gets almost into a comatose state, because she has like zero energy. It goes from, okay, I can walk even, to complete collapse that her husband carries her home usually. It's shocking. And then the second thing is she is getting more and more confused about where she is, routes to a doctor, for example, that she's done numerous times. Suddenly she doesn't know where she is. She can't cook because she'll take out everything out of the cupboards, can't put anything together, doesn't know she can't put pieces together somehow. And this all started after the second vaccination, right after, like a day or two after. Of course, in Germany,
Has she have her blood sugar checked?
she's had all kinds of tests. I don't know about blood sugar per se, but she's been in and out of hospitals, and her husband tells me that she's been tested some more, and everything always checks out within normal range.
Okay, so I mean, because like just from what I'm sure they tested for this, but like blood sugar issues, like if it was real high, could cause some of this, and then maybe not a stroke, but there's these things called TIAs, which are like transient ischemic attacks. They're like little baby strokes. There's always a potential there, but that's probably one of the things. I mean, the medical system in Germany is pretty solid, so I would say that those things have been checked. So does she ever like lose her balance and fall?
Yes.
And when she does it, it's not that she just falls, she kind of like sways around and then falls?
Yeah, kind of, and kind
Yeah.
of a real collapse.
So this is why it's not showing up, is there's this thing called sympathetic dystonia. And sympathetic dystonia is, you know how we're always talking about the vagus nerve losing tone, or the parasympathetic activity, you know, part of the nervous system losing tone. This is the fight flight side of the nervous system losing tone. And so you know, you'll see like there's could be persons disoriented. It almost looks like they dance a little bit, and then they'll lose their balance. And it's not even that they lose their balance, they just can't hold themselves up anymore, and they don't like necessarily pass out, but they'll like kind of fall and lose control of their muscles for a little bit, or they'll drop down onto a knee or something. And the other indicator is you look, has their handwriting or their signature changed a bunch, you know, because the motor coordination goes down a little bit. And it's not life-threatening, but it's definitely quality of life threatening. You know, it's like quality of life just goes out the window because you never know when it's going to pop up and everything.
Yeah.
Usually with that, I give them anise, like 2-3 drops multiple times a day. But let me look something else up here real quick. There was another thing that I used from time to time in. Give me just a second here.
Mhm.
Okay, so let me give you some choices.
Mhm.
Lemongrass, rosemary, or tarragon. I'd still put an anise in the mix there, but any of those but internal. And then you could do a little bit of topical application, either in an alcohol base or like a lotion or massage oil, or if they don't want to do that, even just several drops on the wrist of sage. And you know, within it will be a slow roll out of it, but you'll notice like in a week or two they're like doing a little bit better, and then another week or two they're doing a little bit better, and you know, it's still like kind of a slow roll out of it, but you're having to tone up that part of the nervous system, and it just takes a little bit. You know, it's the same thing even with the parasympathetic side. It takes a little bit. You might find some immediate relief right off the bat, but it still needs to be treated for a while. And inhalation isn't going to be enough. Topical is not going to be enough. She will need to take the lemongrass, the tarragon, and when I say rosemary, I would say rosemary verbena versus just regular rosemary. I know I'm splitting hairs there, but the verbena is a little bit more balancing to the nervous system than regular rosemary. And
And
so
how many drops of that?
any of them, like whichever one you choose, like probably 3 drops in water at least twice a day, but up to 4 times a day.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And
That's-
then, so
that's-
you do the lemongrass and the anise?
No, you
or
just do one. Just pick one.
One or the other? Okay.
Yeah. I would do like choose one of the, like lemongrass, tarragon, rosemary, verbena, or anise. And then so choose one out of there, and then the second thing I would do is put sage on the body.
Okay,
Between the two of those, it'll take a little while, but it should get it.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
And this is the thing that I would say about that is that I'm not aware that there's any test that they can do for that. So like it's one of those things that it flies under the radar. And usually it's not even on a physician's, like it's not on their radar. The only times that I've ever seen it diagnosed is when the person had a spell where they like did the little dance thing and fell in front of the doctor. Like other than that, it's not on anybody's radar. Like it's such a weird thing that the only times I think they really look for it is right after childbirth. Sometimes, it can settle in, and that they'll go to it because, you have a reason for it to be there. But other than that, it could be stress, it could be an injury. I think the last case that I treated in person was the person had gotten a neck injury and then ended up having this happen over a period of time. But even remember, it was like a week or two ago, somebody else had this issue where it was the lack of tone in the sympathetic nervous system. And so, yeah. Not common, but it's again, not life-threatening, but it definitely affects quality of life.
It's totally disabling. She cannot work anymore.
Yeah,
She can't
yeah.
food for herself. I mean, he has to dress her because she cannot put things together.
Well, even like the cooking thing, because they lose control of their body a little bit, it's almost like you don't want them doing something where like she could touch the stove and not stop or something.
Yes.
I had a friend that had it and I didn't know it, and I saw him do it, and he was standing there, and all of a sudden he kind of fell, looked like he was leaning on like the hood of a car, and then he was just kind of spazzing, and we were all standing there and I was like, what are you doing? And then he stood up and he started dancing around, and I was like, that looks like dystonia. And then he fell. He was awake, but we had to go through and treat that. But people can have it for a long period of time and not know. And I remember saying something to him about it, and I was like, dude, why didn't you tell me about that or whatever? And he goes, it just happens from time to time. He goes, I don't even know that it's a problem. It's just this weird thing that happens to me from time to time. And I was like, ugh, it will keep getting worse. Like, that's the thing is, if it goes untreated, it just continues to progress where they're always just a little bit disoriented. Yeah.
It's gotten worse. And the question is there in fact a connection to that second vaccination, because it started right after?
I mean, it's hard to say, but like one of the ways that you could get dystonia is a really bad allergic reaction. And so if she had a bad reaction to the vaccine, that's always possible. We don't always know what happens with vaccines and things like that, but hard to say. Allergic reactions are one of the ways that it can happen though. And so I'm not saying she had an allergic reaction there, but people have allergic reactions to vaccines, so it's not out of the ballpark. But I would just start treating it. I mean, it sounds like it's progressed a bit, and so I would treat it pretty aggressively. Hey, please keep me posted on that. She should start feeling relief relatively soon. Like I said, it's not going to be taking it and boom, it's done, but you just start feeling better and better as time goes by.
Okay, I'll keep you posted. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
Yeah, go ahead, Shadananda.
Hey, how are you?
Hi, thanks. I know we need to switch over. So I was the one with the dystonia.
Oh,
yeah.
How weird is that? It's been probably 5 years since I've seen that. Now there's two in a couple of weeks.
That's the way it happens. So I realized that because the other day my hand just completely locked in this really weird
Yep.
spasm with
Yep.
a couple of fingers extended and a couple of bent, and my husband tried to massage it open and my hand would not move. It just
Yeah.
had to release on its own, right?
Yeah.
Very different kind of spasm, I guess like a Charlie horse, but in the hand, and it didn't hurt. And that made me remember
Yeah.
that made me remember that prior to COVID, because that's when I started noticing the shaking stuff. Prior to COVID, my toes would periodically, just like 1 or 2 toes, would either curl or bend back. And from what I've been reading, that's one of the symptoms of limb dystonia.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing it's just like you just told the last person that, you know, it can progress because
It definitely can progress. And you know, in some of the old writings, they didn't use the terms that we're using, but in times of where there's supposed to be really bad, like cramping, and like you said, like something gets locked in place, there is this old formula. You know, it's basically a formula of lobelia with other antispasmodics, but they would use it in the old days for, you know, they didn't use the term dystonia, but they would use it for the contractures that could happen from dystonia. They would use it to treat like lockjaw, or like when people would get bit by like a rabid dog or something, you know, because it would undo the contractures. And yeah, I don't know that anybody's making it now, so I could probably make it for you. It would take me a little bit, but
well, I wanted to let you know that actually like all the shaking is just about completely subsided. I can't say that I'm cured, because in the past I've been able to have up to 3 weeks with no shaking before.
Yeah. Until you go like 6 months. I agree with you. Like you know, because like with no treatment, like you'll go periods of time without having an incident, and then all of a sudden there's an incident.
Yeah, so I'm wondering, because I know you told me, you know, do the anise for a couple of weeks and then switch to something else. So, but given that it comes and goes anyway, and it's been 2 weeks.
I would still stick with anise. Like if you wanted to rotate into some things, just like we said, like the tarragon, the lemongrass, the sage body tonic.
Yeah.
I'm combining words to make them more efficient. If you don't want to do a body tonic, just like 6 or 8 drops of sage on your wrist, that could be good. But you know, if anything, you could up the dosage. But over a period of time, you should buy more and more time to the point where you know, it goes away. We are going to do a thing here tonight also about balancing out the autonomic nervous system. So it wouldn't be the complete thing that I would do to treat it, but it's a way to also augment the things that you're doing with just like a breathing pattern. And so that could be helpful as well.
So it's okay to keep doing the anise.
Oh yeah,
I'm fine with it.
you're gonna be on either anise or lemongrass probably for I would say a year.
Oh, okay.
I would say, you know, we're trying to find where you hit like 2 or 3 months without having an incident. Like I feel more comfortable, like, okay, at 6 months, you're doing pretty good.
Yeah.
I'd still treat it for a little while just because, you know, who knows why you got there. Sometimes it's an injury, sometimes it's allergies, sometimes it's just stress, sometimes it's a hormonal thing. Like, you know, there's no rhyme or reason. And so I just really fortify that part of the nervous system. And again, it's not causing like immediate like health issues, like where you're in crisis, but you're driving a car and you lose control a little bit, or, whatever you're doing, like that starts to be a potential for something. And so, you just want to minimize that can happen. And so, just treat it for a while.
Okay, yeah.
Those things like anise, tarragon, rosemary, lemongrass, they're all so like very like toning oils, like they're things that you could use as a tonic. They're good for digestion, they're good for like immunity, they're good for a lot of things. So I mean, there's other reasons that you'd benefit by using those, but because you have that issue, I would just use that for a while. I mean, you could use any of those for the rest of your life and you would be completely okay. Like it would not be, there's certain things where you're like, use it for a while, but then you take a break. None of those fall in that category.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And so right now at this moment, I'm having an allergic reaction. I accidentally ate some wheat and my throat is in spasm. It feels raw. My tongue feels raw. And I was just wondering, any anything I can do?
Do you happen to have any quercetin?
Quercetin?
Quercetin, it's like a crude form of vitamin C. If not, essential oil wise, antihistamine for something like that. What can you think of that would be an antihistamine, like Melissa? But that's
the only thing I can think of.
yeah.
I have Melissa.
Oh, do you take a couple drops of Melissa? Yeah,
Okay.
that's super allergy.
Okay.
Antihistamine. I mean, if it continues to do it, like just a good old fashioned Benadryl, but like the Melissa should knock it out.
Yeah, for some reason the Benadryl doesn't work.
Oh.
So
Yeah.
so I'll try the Melissa.
The other thing you could try is geranium if you have it, but I would try the Melissa first.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
And then give me just a sec. I had a question quite a bit up here. And it was about how to address chronic nightmare syndrome. Is there a blend?
Chronic nightmare syndrome. Is it like a little kid or an adult, or
And feel free to just type in.
is it a little kid or an adult or
an adult?
Adult, like how old? And
36.
36. Are they going through some difficult times, or are they just nothing's going on and they're having nightmares?
Been like 20 years or so.
Oh wow. Okay. Oh, is this Bill?
Yeah. Sorry, you can't see me. I'm hidden.
No. I can see you with my mind.
Very good.
Okay, so.
And so she's also always had what I would call slow digestion. At times extremely slow, and I don't know if that's related. And some
it could be like
some fibromyalgia type.
Oh, there is
things as well. Yeah, apparently that's a much more recent thing.
Honestly, I would do the thing with I would put her on like 4 or 5 drops of the 3 Wise Men twice a day.
Okay.
Like that, and then maybe that, and have her inhale tarragon.
Tarragon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You could always do a little bit of sage on the body, but I think the 3 Wise Men and the tarragon should actually reduce that quite a bit.
Great.
Yeah. It's like what we were saying about the mind is a lot of what we call the mind is endocrine function happening through the nervous system. And so sometimes when you have disturbances like this, it is actually a little bit of a hormonal imbalance more than it is like the psyche. And that she's having it at night where she's having nightmares and things like that. That makes me think it's a little hormonal. And the issue is, it's not that things are out of balance. Sometimes the endocrine system is like maybe functioning 60 or 70% of what it should. And so that deficiency can cause some of these issues. Not like an imbalance, but it's just like down a couple of notches. And so like when that happens, the tendency is like when you're dreaming, part of you having a good dream versus a nightmare is how much you can like expand out of the body when you're sleeping and you're in dream time. It's a lot like meditation. And if the endocrine system is a bit depleted, like in meditation, it doesn't allow for expansion of consciousness like you would if you didn't have that issue. And so with nightmares, same thing. It's like as they expand in their sleep, it's like you're expanding, but you don't expand past the bad neighborhoods. You know what I mean? You don't expand out of that lower like astral realm. And so you just kind of get stuck there. And it's not that you have an issue there, but like wherever you're at, like you just get that lower astral activity and it's just disturbing. And then it fits into whatever you're feeling and thinking, but it's because you couldn't get out of the bad neighborhood. And like that's the way I would treat it, is that it's like diminished endocrine function and just pump that up so she can blast out past that lower astral realm. The tarragon will help with whatever, like if she still like kind of gets stuck in the lower astral realm, it's calming, it's soothing, it reduces shock, it balances out the parasympathetic part of the nervous system. It does all those things. It helps to transmute lower emotions. It does a bunch of things that will help things stay like stable or more stable as she's treating the endocrine system. But like within a week, like it should really start to like, again, might not go away completely, but it should go away, yeah, like try that. If for some reason that's not working, we'll probably keep her on that and augment it somehow. But I that would be the treatment I would do right off the bat.
Thank you. I enjoyed the weekend as well, but one of the things happened that was unusual. I didn't really realize I had any digestive issues, but I put the spike lavender on my wrist, as we had talked about for some reason Saturday, and the body just had a fit mentally. It was like I was irritated, mad, whatever. And I never did figure out what it was. I actually, you had sent me previously some type of digestive tonic, and I actually then put it on the stomach, and it kind of went away. But I never had that reaction.
It was spike lavender, so stimulating cerebral spinal fluid circulation. I mean, it does other things too, but. And you just put it on your wrist? You didn't like inhale it into the brain, anything like that?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like the thing is like anytime you stimulate the cerebral spinal fluid circulation, you're basically flushing elementals out of the body, and so could have been in the digestive tract. A lot of times they're in the limbs. But that you felt calmer. I wonder, did it feel like in your lower abdomen when it was happening?
I didn't feel it in the abdomen at all. I felt it like mentally or whatever in the head.
I wonder if that was his psoas.
Well, now that could very easily be.
Yeah, it makes me wonder if you were flushing some things out of the low back area of the psoas.
And
That actually kind of,
and when it was over, it was over.
yeah,
It was just done.
yeah. I think you were flushing something out there.
Thank you. It
Yeah.
wasn't fun, but it was necessary.
Yeah. Well, I hope that doesn't happen again, but like, had you inhaled it on the brain, it probably would have been more intense.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, so welcome. Okay, so we're going to do a thing where we balance out the nervous system. We did a little bit over the weekend, but it's such a good little protocol that I thought we'd revisit that today. So in the oils that you have, if you have any of these, let's shoot for lemongrass would be your first choice. But then like tarragon, rosemary, anise, even lavender, except for Bill, no spike lavender for this. Yuzu would be good. Yeah, let's see if those choices work. ANS support would work. Even basil would work. If they don't have basil, even marjoram would work. Like I keep adding to the list. So this is very good to do at night before you go to bed. This is very balancing to the sympathetic and parasympathetic, also known as fight, flight, and rest and repair. And so if you're also a spiritual practitioner, this is tied to allowing for more divine energy to come down and increasing your potential for transmuting like lower emotions, lower thoughts, things like this. And so we even do a version of this in the Astara Kriya Sakti technique that we do for materialization. It's actually for materializing the blessings from the spiritual teacher or deity of your tradition. And so, just check in with yourself for a moment. And then your awareness is on your front heart. Begin inhaling. Not thinking about anything, you're not visualizing anything, you're just simply inhaling. And then move your awareness to the back heart. Move your awareness to the forehead, where the hairline is. And then the back head. Your awareness is on your back head. Good night. And then just let go. Let go of everything. Just be still, be aware, let go. Begin inhaling again. Your awareness is on the back head. You're taking long, slow, deep breaths. You're starting where you ended, on the back head. And then to your forehead. And then the back heart, the area between your shoulder blades. Your awareness is on your back heart. You're taking long, slow, deep breaths. And then your front heart. And then just be still, be aware, just let go. Begin inhaling again. Your awareness is on the front heart. Your awareness is on the back heart, the area between the shoulder blades. The forehead. And the back head. Just be still. Part of what you're doing when you're doing this process, you're balancing out the autonomic part of the nervous system, which is fight, flight, opposed by rest and repair. You know, it's the balance between the two. Psychologically, you're actually releasing unconscious hurt feelings. Like when your feelings have gotten hurt, or there's been like I don't call them traumas, like little micro traumas, like things that, you know, weren't devastating, but still, like, you know, they poke something in you, got your feelings hurt a little bit, but you either didn't process it or you're too busy or whatever. It just helps to release those things. And so it helps to activate the heart, but it also gives you a much stronger sense of well-being as you go through and treat these things. And so good for the body, good for the mind. Begin inhaling. Your awareness is on the back head. Your forehead. The back heart. And the front heart. Awareness is on your front heart. You're taking long, slow, deep breaths. And just be still, be aware, just let it all go. Hmm. Begin inhaling again. We're going to cycle through it again. Your awareness is on the front heart. The back heart, the area between your shoulder blades. The forehead, where the hairline is. And then the back head. And then be still, be aware. Just let go. Just maintain your stillness and awareness. When you do the one we just did, where we go front heart, forehead, back head, you're releasing like emotions and thoughts out through the top of your head. So that's why we're just being still for a moment, is you're just letting some things go. As we reverse it, you're increasing the amount of soul energy coming in. So first we want to release, and then we want to replace it with soul energy. Begin inhaling. Your awareness is on the back of your head. Your awareness is on your forehead. You're taking long, slow, deep breaths. The back heart, the area between the shoulder blades. And then just let it all go for a moment. Your awareness is on your navel. You're just taking some long, slow, deep breaths. Same oil. Your awareness is on your navel. Move your awareness an inch and a half below your navel. And then just be still. Just be still for a moment. So when we go through and we do the both directions, there's all the things that we talked about, but one of the things that happens as well, that is like a deeper seed to what we're talking about. All those other things are really a reflection of this particular aspect. Is by going through and doing this, you actually are starting to strengthen and develop the navel. And the issue there is it's helping to regulate the lower nature. Part of the drive of the lower nature is tied to the involuntary part of the nervous system, the part that you would call the neurovegetable system, the part that makes the body run without you thinking about it. And so you could almost say the body takes direction, but also has a little bit of a mind of its own. That little mind of its own is the lower nature. So in Jungian psychology, they call it by a different name. Esoterically, people call it by different names. Here we would just call it physiology, right? Your physiology is having a moment. And so it eventually affects how you think and how you process information. And it also impacts lower emotions. And so by going through and doing this on a regular basis, it improves digestive health, it improves emotional health, it improves your cognitive functions with your mind. It balances out the nervous system and can help with deeper spiritual experiences and the regulation of the lower nature. And so with all of that, we're going to leave you tonight. Thanks for joining us. I hope you had a good session tonight. And this weekend is the Phoenix Technique, which I think for a bunch of you is a review class. So we have new people as well, but it was one of the favorites of students from last year. So we'll be doing that class this weekend down in Sarasota. I haven't been there for a while. So remember, we have the Metatron class tomorrow, and we have the Astara session right now. And so you can join us if you'd like. But otherwise, hopefully see you tomorrow or the weekend.